Hello, welcome to Crafty Meraki's YouTube channel. My name is Sara. I was recently an instructor for the Scrapbooking social, and Crafty Meraki was kind enough to ask me if I would like to come back and design some scrapbook layouts, and I said absolutely. So I'm going to be featuring the Affluent Heart Hot Foil set, and I'm also going to be featuring the dies, the peony dies. I have a heritage photo here, and I also have For the Love of Flowers 6x8 paper pad. We're going to be using this paper pad to choose our colors and to help create a background for our layout today. I have pulled some colored cardstock from my stash, some different colors that I thought would work really well with the colors that are in the paper pad. So let's get started creating. I started by die cutting all of the elements for the peony flower. I die cut the elements 3 times, and I did them in 3 different colors of cardstock. I wanted to add a little bit of depth and dimension to my flowers, so I'm taking each piece and putting them into my waffle flower grip mat, my waffle flower grip mat that fits in my Misty. And I'm going to go ahead and take some Distress Oxide ink. I am using Abandoned Coral and also Saltwater Taffy. And I'm just taking a blending brush and going around the top edges of all the different floral elements. And this is going to provide some shading and give my flowers a more realistic look and give them some depth as well. In addition to the flowers, I am also taking all of the different layers of leaves, and I'm going to ink up again just the edges using some Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink, just kind of pushing them into that grip mat so they stay in place, and then I can easily kind of ink them all up, all in one go, all at the same time. Now it's time to put these flowers all together. The layers of this flower are very easy to kind of navigate. They all have this little keyhole cut out. Well, the larger pieces have the keyhole cut out. So you just line up that keyhole and go through all your different layers. And then the only thing you have to come in and maybe kind of puzzle piece in is the little accent pieces on the edges, but they're super easy to kind of line up and put together. There's also images on the back of the packaging for this die set, and that was a big help to me as well. I kept it to the right and referenced it whenever I got a little lost or I wasn't quite sure which piece went down next. I used my favorite wet glue to adhere the layers together, and then I was also careful to kind of push everything down, give it just a little bit of pressure so that that glue dried nice and thin and smooth between the layers. Once my flowers were all together, I wanted to add a little bit of dewdrop accents to each flower, and I used some glossy accents to do that. I like the clear kind of dewy look that just a little touch of glossy accents can bring to floral elements. I used my Glimmer hot foil machine to foil some of the Affluent Heart hot foil elements, and then I used the coordinating die set to die cut those elements. And now I'm coming in with that ink. So a couple of things. When I did the foiling, I did end up with a little bit of over foiling. Now for most of it, I would just erase it off with a sand eraser, but some of it looked pretty cool. Like, I liked the kind of almost grungy look it gave everything. So what I decided to do was, on these not so perfect areas of the foiling, I went in with the abandoned coral and saltwater taffy distress oxide ink colors. I inked up the edges, gave them sort of an ombre look where they had areas of dark and light, and I really like how these hearts turned out. Once I had the ink blending done, I took a microfiber cloth and just buffed off the foiled areas to get that ink off of the foil. So now we have the nice matte gold foil from the foiled elements and that little bit of extra color from the ink. And I think these turned out beautiful. I love to embrace imperfections on my projects. I think that things sometimes can look a little too perfect. I like to embrace the imperfections. So when I ended up with just a little bit of overfoiling on some of these hearts, I was like, you know what, we're going with it, because it did add that little extra bit of texture and interest to my finished project. For our scrapbook page today, we're going to do a little bit of color blocking, or a little bit of a grid design. So I have chosen 4 pattern papers from my paper pad, and what I am going to do is, starting with the bottom right hand corner, I'm gonna line up that paper. So the 6x8 papers have been cut down to 6x6, which means I can put 4 of them on top of a sheet of cardstock and have a really fun, colorful, interesting background. This is a great way to use smaller sized 6x8 pattern papers on a large 12x12 canvas. Now, my background paper is like a cream color, but you could certainly use any color cardstock you wanted. If you have like a bumper crop of purple 12x12 cardstock in your stash, or red, or it doesn't matter, because you're not going to see any of the cardstock that's underneath this page. I chose this plaid pattern from the Luxe Paper Pad collection, and I also have my photo. My photo is just shy of 4x6, so just a teeny bit smaller. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back my photo with a small black mat. My journaling for my page is also going to be in black, so that way that little pop of black is going to accent like the important parts of my scrapbook page. Important parts are always your photo, always your journaling and your story. If you have journaling or a story. In this case, I do. So I decided to give my photograph a little bit of a black mat for some nice contrast off the background, and then I can add my black journaling, or my journaling in black ink, and then that way the black ink that I will do my journaling with doesn't look out of place, doesn't look strange, but looks like it is part of my page. It's not going to kind of stick out like a sore thumb, as it were. In addition to matting my photo with the black, I'm also going to mat it with this plaid paper. I chose the pattern that had the most colors that are similar to the colors in my background papers, and then I'm going to pop my photo up with some foam tape, and it's going to go right in the middle of my layout. Today's layout will have journaling, and it is a heritage photo, but I chose not to include a title on this particular page. First of all, because as I start to create my embellishment clusters, a place for a title did not make itself immediately known. So I didn't feel like there was a really good place for a title to go. I felt like anywhere that I put it, it would look out of place, and I didn't want to force it. That is kind of my MO when it comes to scrapbooking. If a layout does not really lend itself to adding a title, if it doesn't lend itself to adding journaling, or if I don't really have something immediately in my head that I want to talk about when it comes to that photo, then I have no problem leaving off a title or leaving off journaling. I think that the important parts of this layout is the photo and the journaling, the story that I have to tell, and any kind of title that I could kind of think of or that I couldn't find a place for. And then I also didn't have anything that I felt I needed to title the page. I felt like it went without a title. It was totally fine. And there are no rules in scrapbooking. So I am taking these beautiful peonies and these fun kind of foiled hearts, and I'm creating a diagonal cluster. So the cluster is going right through my photograph. It's not going corner to corner, so it's a little bit of an asymmetrical diagonal line, but that is okay. I wanted you to definitely be able to, I wanted your eye to be able to really focus on that photograph. So that's what we're kind of going with here. Although these peony dies and these flowers are absolutely stunning, and I love, love, love them. I want to make oodles more of them. When you first get your die set, I definitely recommend taking some time, taking some cardstock colors you don't really like, and having a bit of a practice with it. It is very easy to layer up when you have done one or two and you know exactly where everything goes. And I think that this die, your flowers, turn out much better if you just take a little bit of time, practice, and play around with the layers, and maybe create a couple of practice flowers before creating with the ones that you want to use on a project. And that's part of the fun of scrapbooking and paper crafting, is playing with these products and figuring out how it all works. So I am very carefully taking each of these little floral pieces up, adding wet glue to the back, and then adhering them onto my page. For my last little detail on this page, I really wanted to add a bit of sparkle with some of these gems. The gems I am using were a free gift with part of my order from Crafty Meraki. These gems are large, so they're not teeny tiny, they're quite substantial, which I think is perfect for a scrapbook layout. And they are a beautiful, like, blue-green iridescent color. I think they're just really pretty. I think they really set off this whole project beautifully. So I'm just taking some wet glue, dotting it around my page, and then taking my crystal katana and placing the gems where I would like them to be on my layout. I'm creating some clusters of gems in little nooks and crannies on my embellishment clusters. I do have the little clear dewdrops that I've already adhered onto the flowers, so the flowers don't need too much in the way of accents, but I just want to add some sparkle in and around some of those hearts, not necessarily on top of things, but more just in the little nooks and crannies. And there is our layout all completed. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next month. Bye.